I had the speed, I had the fitness, and I just ran in and bowled fast. People were afraid of us because of the fact that we were quick. We're going to just bombard people with short pitch bowling, and we're going to hit people, and people are just going to be afraid of us. When you have somebody with that sort of pace, people are going to be apprehensive, people are going to be wary. That sort of pace will give batsmen sleepless nights. There was no let-up. It was relentless.
He was called Whispering Death because you couldn't hear him coming. He just sort of glided over the ground.
Has gone.
He bowls a lot faster than one would imagine because his approach was so smooth.
He broke the line with his foot, that was 95 miles an hour. And it was just raw speed.
A Rolls Royce of a bowling technique. Fantastic run-up, fantastic rhythm, raw pace and accuracy.
Just a snap of the wrist as the ball came over. Truly wonderful sight as a quick bowler.
What was it like facing Michael Holding?
Bloody scary. How do you think?
If I was having to pay money to go and watch somebody, it'd be Michael Holding.
He just bowled straight, fast, and out the stumps.
And then bowling.
Accuracy, fast. If you miss, I hit.
A young attendant came into the dressing room and he said, "Can I get you a drink?" I says, "Yes, get me a bottle of whiskey."
I was born at home, not in a hospital. Midwife in the room with the mother and the father outside waiting. And as soon as he heard that he had a boy, he went and registered me at Melbourne Cricket Club. So I've been a member of Melbourne Cricket Club from birth. I was about 10 years old, and the senior guys in the area went up to my mother and said, "Oh, we want Mikey to play for us this weekend." I had no cricket gear, but it was great fun. The guys took care of me, and as someone who had a little bit of talent, and they sort of nurtured me a bit.
I played for Barbados under 19s, and he played for Jamaica in under 19s. It's always like a mini test match. The competitiveness is still there. Something might happen, we leave it on the middle of the field, and afterwards we just sit down and talk as though nothing happened. The next year go back to war again.
Such competition would be the making of Michael Anthony Holding. And in 1975, still only 21, his apprenticeship playing for Jamaica led to full international honours.
There was a friend of mine that came up to me and told me, "You heard those things on the radio, you didn't get official letters and that sort of thing." And he said to me, "Mike, you have been selected to go to Australia." And he perhaps thought I was going to jump up and rejoice and all that. I was a bit downbeat. And he was wondering why. And the first thought that came into my mind was I was going to be away from my family for Christmas.
But Holding did join the tour. And it was the birth of what would become world cricket's most feared bowling attack.
What an opening pair, Michael Holding and Andy Roberts.
For two seamers to complement each other, you have to be good friends. Because you need to look at the other and see what he's doing today that he wasn't doing yesterday.
Andy and myself have been very good friends, and Andy knows the game. That's why I enjoy spending so much time around him.
I think they planned their cricket games the night before. Before they actually got into the middle.
I can tell so many stories about Andy Roberts and sussing out opposition batsmen, advising me and advising other people how to bowl to particular batsmen and what to do, how to get them out.
You can always look back and say, look, today you're falling away, today you're running in too fast, you're overstriding, and things like that.
The way how they planned the games and how they were planning the ball and the batsmen and some of the strengths that they had with them.
People looking at Andy Roberts would never ever realize that Andy had such a great cricket brain because he never spoke to anyone.
Roberts never said a word, as most of the West Indies bowlers through the years have never said anything. But look in their eyes and they're into you. You know, they look through you. There's a real menace.
If you got to know him, you would know exactly what type of person he was and exactly how brilliant he was at thinking about the game and out-thinking batsmen.
You have to be good mates in order, for the partnership to be successful.
I played 5 test matches and got 10 wickets. I think I got 10 wickets for something like 624 or 642 runs. So that's what, 62 or 64 runs per wicket. That's not a great start.
The pace of Lillian Thompson unsettled the West Indies. Thompson was probably the most dangerous, intimidating bowler that I can remember against West Indies. Everybody got hit. Everybody got hit.
I thought to myself by the time I got back home, man, if this is Test cricket and if this is the way West Indies are going to play cricket, I'm not interested.
People like Michael Holding and Andy Roberts were fledglings, really. They just started, and I think seeing the way that Tomo and Lilly bowled probably gave them a few plans. From that series onwards, there weren't too many half volleys forthcoming from the West Indies.
The West Indies were learning. Intimidation worked. In the next series against India, Clive Lloyd made arguably the most important decision of his captaincy.
We cleared against India, set them over 400 and something runs to win. We had 3 spinners, I think, in the team. They knocked it off of 4 or 5 wickets down. And at that point, after we had played, I think, 3 test matches already in the series, Lloyd said, listen, this spinning thing ain't working.
Well, the Australians did it in 75, 76. They had Lily Thompson, Gilmore and Walker. And that's where Clive Lloyd got the idea from.
We're going to play our best bowlers. They keep on telling us we have to play spin in Trinidad. It didn't work. We're going to play our best bowlers wherever we are. And of course, at the time, our best bowlers were the fast bowlers.
The decision was immediately vindicated. The Indians were pulverized, with Holding taking 7 wickets. It may have been more, but 5 Indians declared themselves injured and refused to bat.
We had 3 batsmen, one behind the other, going in to the hospital. G.R. Vishwanath, broken finger. Rajesh Patel got his chin hit. Then Anshuman Gaikwad. Michael Holding bowled a beamer at me. Right onto me. Shoo, I crashed. He aimed at me again. And again I fell. And at that stage it was the time for Bishan Bedi, captain, to come in. Come on, guys, come on. If the West Indies want to win the match, let them take. We are conceding.
With pride restored following the series win over India, the West Indies travelled to England in 1976 for what would be a memorable contest, due in no small part to comments made by English captain Tony Greig.
You must remember the West Indians, these guys, if they get on top, they're magnificent cricketers. But if they're down, they grovel. And I intend, with the help of Closey and a few others, to make them grovel.
Here was a white South African, or a captaining England, at a time when the anti-apartheid movement was ready at its height, saying he's going to make the West Indies grovel because when they're under pressure, they fold. And of course that had an effect on them.
It was an inspiration for us. Whenever Greg came into bat, it's like it got a turbo boost because of the words that he said.
Naturally, the West Indies lads thought, well, if that's what he said, let's put it on them,
The word that he used, grovel, just didn't fit in with us. And so we made him and the entire England team pay.
Following 2 draws, the 3rd test at Old Trafford exploded into life as Holding and Roberts ran riot. England's opening partnership bore the brunt of the attack.
Greggy asked me to come and see him in his room, and he said, we want you to open the innings. I said, you must be joking, Greggy. I haven't opened the innings in first-class cricket for years.
You come into a test match against the fastest bowlers in the world, and you pick 2 opening batsmen, one at the age of 45 and one at the age of 40. I mean, really. Huh? So what do you expect?
I was 22 years old. I had the speed, I had the fitness, and I just ran in and bowled fast.
There was so much cracks in the pitch that once the ball hit it, it's going to fly. That's what happened. So people were saying that Michael was bowling too short. No, Michael was bowling the length that he accustomed to bowl. And because there was so much cracks, the ball just went all over the place.
And that hurt him.
It was damned hard work having the ball whizzing past you.
It wasn't personal, it's just the situation of the game. And one of the things that people must understand about fast bowling, if a fast bowler have an hour or 45 minutes to bowl, he's going to go all out.
You might get your head out of the way if it was up that way, but you wouldn't be able to get your body out of the way, so you had to, you know, you had to take a few bumps.
A lot of people complain, saying how unfair it was body line bowling. What do you expect? They were asking for it. They really were asking for it. And they got it.
We got in at the end of the day, and the young attendant came into the dressing room and and he said, "Can I get you a drink?" I says, "Yes, get me a bottle of whiskey."
Roberts and Holding were simply unplayable, taking 16 wickets between them as England were bowled out for 71 and 126. Another West Indian victory at Headingley meant the series was won before the final test at the Oval, where a knock of 291 by Viv Richards put the tourists in charge before Holding took control with the ball.
The nuclear warhead that the West Indies came up with, led by Michael Holding, literally just blew England away.
I've never seen fast bowling like that on a slow, on a flat pitch. You know, I was there struggling like hell to get a wicket, and it was just easy for Michael. You know, he just ran and he beat the players through the air for pace.
Did it through sheer pace. He just took the pitch out of the equation and trapped people LBW or yorked them, clean bowled them, stumps flying all over the place.
That certainly would have been his best for pace, for accuracy, for persistence.
It was great to see, okay, you have taken 14 wickets in a test match, and you walk off the field feeling proud, and within personally you feel great.
It was one of the most dramatic pieces of fast bowling anybody was ever likely to see.
Holding's 14 wickets for 149 runs were the best West Indian bowling figures in Test history, and included, in front of the baying West Indian supporters, the wicket of a red-faced Tony Gregg.
And Tony Gregg raised his arms and he came out and said, "Dan," he said, "we're going to smash them all over the place." I thought he hadn't learnt his lesson. I said, "Captain, look, it's okay. Don't upset them. We're having a nice time out here." And I've never been so pleased in all my life to see the captain get his leg stuff knocked out of the ground by Michael Holding, ex-set Yorker.
Greggy had the humour about him for actually grovelling himself at the end of the Oval Test. He crawled on all fours across the ground, so there was a spark of humour there as well.
He was just so competitive, and it's just the wrong word that he used at the time. But it spurred us. We are grateful that he did use it.
The impact of Holding's performance was felt not just in England, but on the other side of the world, where in Australia, media tycoon Kerry Packer was launching his cricket revolution, the World Series.
A pair of television personalities said to Ian Chappell, "What are you earning for a test match?" And he told them. They said, "Well, look at the MCG. It's got 80,000, 90,000 people watching cricket on one day, and that's what they're paying you?" So he then went to Kerry Packer. Packer then applied to the Australian board for the rights to television, and he was turned down. So he said, "Well, you know, if I'm turned down, he's got the television station, he's got the wealth to do it." So he formed his own league, the World Series Cricket.
His series was going to start 77, 78. I was moving from $600 in 75, 76 to $25,000 for the same length of time. So I decided at that point, well, this is good money.
We go, we do television coverage, and nobody's there, about 200 people. And Kerry Packer's in the background saying, "Keep it tight, keep it tight." So you don't see the empty stand.
It didn't work initially because everyone was thinking, oh, this is against the tradition. Because they could not have said they weren't going to support it because of the standard of cricket. We had the 50 of the world's best cricketers playing during World Series cricket. So it took a bit of time for people to really grasp what was going on, to accept what was going on. And by the second year, it all took off. And it was a success.
World Series cricket enhanced the professionalism of and the bond between the West Indian players. And by 1979, they were ready to defend the World Cup in England, a tournament where they first revealed what became known as the fearsome foursome.
Andy Roberts, myself, Joel Garner and Colin Croft.
You had 4 fast bowlers, but we were all different in style.
You had Roberts, who was strong, fast, and deceptive.
I used a lot of variation. You know, pace, bunks, slow ball.
Andy had a surprise bouncer, which I learned pretty quickly, not to get too far on the front foot.
Michael Holding, as smooth as ever, and you know, he beat you for pace.
Run up smoothly and really quick and accurate.
Joel Garner come from a massive 10, 11 feet high.
And he was tall and bouncy.
I was the slow one who did the donkey work.
Then you had Colin Croft, who was probably the meanest of the lot.
Colin Croft came from an angle that no one has ever seen before, you know, delivering the ball from wide outside the off stump.
Crofty was very awkward. You know, he was all arms and legs and out wide.
So you had 4 different fast bowlers, all quality, playing in the same team.
Each and every one of them could kill you in a second.
These blokes, 4 of them, 6'4", 6'6", 6'8", 6 foot. Mate, there's no comparison.
That sort of pace will give batsmen sleepless nights. And because we had 4 guys in our team, there was no let-up. It was relentless.
You never got any rest. To get through to lunch, you think you've done a great job, and then you come out again, and there they are, the 4. They're as fresh as daisies. They've only bowled 6 or 8 overs each, and it was hard work.
It's a psychological thing. I wish I was up the other end, or I wish we had a better captain, or maybe I'll do well tomorrow. And very few bowlers can create that, but the West Indies had 4 of them, and it was relentless.
It was no matter of us going out and thinking that we're going to just bombard people with short pitch bowling and we're going to hit people and people are just going to be afraid of us. People were afraid of us because of the fact that we were quick.
The West Indies reached the World Cup final, where they met England at Lord's. An unbeaten 138 by Viv Richards helped the visitors reach 286 for 9, before Joel Garner took centre stage with 5 wickets, helping the West Indies to a 92-run victory and their 2nd successive World Cup.
All we had to do was keep the game tight, stop the batsmen from scoring, and then when it was time and they took the chances, all we had to do was bowl straight at the stumps.
That pretty much is the point at which West Indies cricket, or that era, that team, we took off, and we just kept on beating everyone for the next 15 years.
That World Cup win was followed by the West Indies' first ever series win in Australia. Heading to New Zealand in 1980, confidence was high, but perhaps misplaced.
We thought New Zealand would be a pushover, and we knew we were better than them. The umpires just didn't do what they were supposed to be doing, and people got more and more frustrated, me in particular.
I don't think that he was the only person who wasn't happy. That was not a very pleasant tour.
This series was very controversial, was very bitter. It's fair to say that the West Indies had, most decisions going against them.
We have been complaining for a long time about what was happening in the Test match. And on the rest day, the DJs on the radio kept on pounding the West Indies team and saying, a bunch of whingers.
They were bitter, the West Indies. It was an unsmiling group of people at that stage. They felt they were being hard done, and to be fair, the things didn't go well their way.
So they felt as though they couldn't sort of compete and win with umpires who were making poor decisions.
Parker was the last recognised batsman. Ran in, hit his glove real hard. I don't know how his finger didn't get broken.
Off the short run. All played it this way.
The New Zealand umpires at that stage had never seen bowling like this. We hadn't either. And so the decision making was, did that hit the bat, did it hit the glove, did it come off here or there? And they made mistakes.
The picture actually shows him taking his gloves off, and the umpire shook his head and said not out. And of course, because so much had been building up, I just lost it. And I kicked the first thing that I saw, which was, of course, was the stumps. It's just one of those things that you just blow your top, you lose all sense of meaning, and you react badly.
And it got to the stage where they didn't try. They misfielded, the bowlers just didn't put in the effort, and it was quite comfortable and relatively easy by international standards.
It was not pleasant, and then as we went on, everybody started getting miserable and niggly and picky. I don't think we were too unhappy at the end of the tour to get home.
But the following year, Holding would reassert his status as one of the world's greatest bowlers. And he did so in Barbados, against England's Geoffrey Boycott, in one single over.
Who can forget it? I was at a gully.
Clive Lloyd came to him and said, I want you to bowl the first over. He said, but Andy Roberts always bowls it. He said, no, I want you to bowl it. And he bowled it. And he bowled it to Boycott.
Everything just went right. Everything clicked from the first ball onto the last ball.
It was one of those overs that that you admired, because ball after ball, I don't think Boycott touched one of them.
All I could see was the wicketkeeper taking the ball up above his shoulders. All first 5 balls up above his shoulders. And the 6th ball, you just see the stump cartwheeling back to the wicketkeeper.
It was high drama. People up on the Kensington stand roof.
I was on the air and I called it off stump because I could not believe that Boycott, and he got bowl leg stump in front of him. So in other words, he was backing away.
Mikey bowled a perfect over. Not only in the first innings, in the second innings as well. I remember catching him at gully in the second innings off with the same bowler.
It was one of the best overs that has ever been bowled in cricket. And quick, real quick.
If somebody ran that far, you're better off not watching him. Just look up in these last 10 yards just to see where he's up to. Rhythmical bowler and rapid.
The memory of him almost pushing off the sight screen and charging in with that lovely action. And it was called Whispering Death because you couldn't hear him coming. He just sort of glided over the ground.
Played for Lancashire for a little while, and we'd have nets. And you just wanted to have a bit of practice, You didn't want to be put through the ringer. And you said to him, you just slow down a touch. No, I can't bowl slow.
It's not something that I practice. It's not something that I made a conscious effort to do. As a youngster, I did athletics. That, again, could have helped because you need to be smooth when you're running, that sort of thing. But it's just something that developed naturally.
By 1984, the West Indies were lauded by many as cricket's greatest ever team. 5-0 series winners in England. They repeated the trick on home soil 18 months later. The famous Blackwash.
They had a very strong side, as everyone knows. They had 4 extremely fine fast bowlers. There was just a production line of fast bowlers coming through. When one left, another one came along. But they also had a very strong batting lineup and very daunting.
Gordon and Des and Richie Richardson and then Viv and then Clive and, Dujon, who did such a great job. Then the Quicks, hopefully Roger Harper. Please pick him.
The West Indies were very, very ruthless in the cricket that they played, and they didn't take any prisoners when they got together as a team. Viv Richards at the time and prior to him, Clive Lloyd, got them together as a unit and really gave the opposition a working over.
We'd rib him and say, well, you've not got a balanced attack, you don't have a spinner. He said, Garner's the spinner, he's the slowest.
There was not a weakness. There really was no weakness. And you couldn't say that because they didn't have a spinner, that was a weakness. Didn't need a spinner.
Well, when was he going to bowl? He never got on the spinner. They bowled most sides out in about 60 overs and usually won the game in 3 days. So it was a great, great team.
We struggled to bowl them out, and we struggled to score runs against them. And that was to be the same for another 4 or 5 years as well.
But for Michael Holding, the end was nigh. Injury blighted the 1987 tour of New Zealand, and physio Dennis Waite confirmed the inevitable.
I said to Dennis, what's the prognosis here? And Dennis said, there's nothing serious. Just a little twinge in the muscle, nothing to do with your spinal column, nothing structural. Perhaps by the end of the test series, you'll be able to play the 1 days. And I said to Dennis, I ain't here to play 1 day cricket. If I can't play the test matches, I might as well go home. So at that point, I decided, call it a day, go home.
The statistics remain impressive. 60 tests, 249 wickets at an average of 23.68. But Michael Holding, whispering death, will be remembered for so much more.
It was quite confronting watching him run in and bowl. Magnificent. You lost focus because, gee whiz, that is a very impressive action.
You look at the menace that he had, but here is comfortably the nicest bloke you could ever wish to meet. but he's a ferocious fast bowler. And when he put whites on, it's business.
Worked the batsman out very quickly. Could smell his weaknesses and his strengths within a couple of deliveries.
I enjoyed my cricket career. I played with some great cricketers. I played against some great cricketers who had great success. When you play for 12 years and you lose one test series, well, officially 2, I don't count losing against New Zealand as one. When you can play for 12 years and lose one test series, you play against England so many different times, never even lost a test match, much less a series. You have got to consider that you have had a great time playing the game.